Donald Trump once famously proclaimed, "I love WikiLeaks," but his administration doesn't love it so much. In fact, we're hearing now from Attorney General Jeff Sessions that going after Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, is a priority. And CNN reported that the Justice Department is actually preparing criminal charges against Assange. Now, this may turn out to be a theoretical debate because, as you probably know, Assange for some years now has been holed up in the Ecuadorian embassy in London to protect himself against charges involving Swedish allegations of sexual assault. So even if the United States were to indict him, there's no indication that the Ecuadorian government is going to cut him loose. So I'm not expecting him to be sitting in a U.S. courtroom standing trial anytime soon. But it does raise an interesting series of questions and a whole debate about WikiLeaks, because Assange tries to position it as a kind of a whistleblowing organization. In fact, he once said that what we do is no different from the New York Times or the Washington Post. They get leaks of classified information that they believe to be in the public interest and then publish them. Unfortunately, a lot of the leaks that WikiLeaks has served as a conveyor belt for have damaged the United States and the national security of the United States, because a lot of this, going back to the person then known as Bradley Manning, were about U.S. military secrets that we very much wanted to keep secret. Now, of course, in the campaign, one of the reasons Trump suddenly had a more benign view of WikiLeaks was that WikiLeaks was the repository or the way of getting out lots of material about internal DNC emails, John Podesta's emails with the Hillary Clinton campaign, and then some Republicans, led by Trump, thought WikiLeaks was just doing a fine job. So I've often said that it depends on who is the target of these kinds of leaks, whether you are outraged at the invasion of privacy, at the publication of a classified material, or whether you view it as something to be cheered about. But clearly, it would raise a lot of constitutional questions. I mean, for one thing, not a U.S. citizen, but at the same time, a criminal effort to hold WikiLeaks and Julian Assange accountable for either, the question is it a passive recipient or an active recipient? And so there are indications now that one of the things that Justice is looking at is whether or not WikiLeaks encouraged now Chelsea Manning to look at certain kinds of files and to bring those out. So, if you're a newspaper, and the New York Times, Washington Post, Fox News have published classified information because some source who had to be protected brought the information, it is then not a crime for the news organization to air it, to publish it, to put it online. But if you are kind of complicit in the gathering of that information, then that might be a very different legal question. Again, I'm not expecting any actual prosecution of Julian Assange, but it is interesting, despite the fact that Donald Trump had some nice words about WikiLeaks, the Trump administration is apparently quite serious about making the legal point, theoretically or otherwise, that what WikiLeaks does is not journalism, it's not whistleblowing, it is in fact a crime.